Hi, everyone. I'm Nehal. I'm a professor in sociology and in criminology and criminal justice. And I I read the email and the description of what everybody was going to talk about today, and I think we've touched upon all the levels that Grace started with: the individual, the interpersonal, community, and the need for institutional change as well. Between Patrick's discussion of culture and biology, how our environment is profoundly shaping us, even at the physical level, when it comes to stress, anxiety, and depression. Amy's description of the need for deep community to be able to be a part of our life when it comes to our wellness. Caleb's descriptions of clinical practice and how we can shift the way we think about the manner in which we're suffering, right? Using the "and" statement. Lisa's description of what she's done in the classroom to bring wellness into it. Finn's descriptions of the relationship between hope and despair. Sarah's description of what the counseling center is doing and how what they are doing can be part of a larger organization of wellness here on campus. And as I read all of them, I thought of a quote from a thinker named Jiddu Krishnamurti, and the quote is, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." And that can feel overwhelming at first, doesn't it? But if I can borrow Caleb's use of "and," it can feel overwhelming, and we have more agency than we probably think we do in being able to create social environments that have wellness baked within them. And that's part of what has been inspiring my work over the last several years. What's been preoccupying me is what, as Krishnamurti talks about there, what does a society that supports our wellness look like? What principles would a society that helps us to flourish inside and feel whole look like? And in my own work, I draw off of a lot of mindfulness-based thought traditions, primarily because my work is about the legal system, a system that most people do not associate with wellness. Um, I rely a lot on the thought of Mohandas Gandhi, who in his early life was a lawyer himself, and looking at his philosophy of law. But I'd just like to share with you a couple of core concepts I've seen over the years that I feel are so salient to everything that we're talking about today. One is the concept of ahimsa, which is a Sanskrit term where the at the beginning is sort of like saying amoral, or when you put an a in front of something, you're indicating the absence of it. And himsa is a word that could be translated as harm or injury or violence. So it's indicating a minimization of or an absence of harm or injury or violence. This was probably the core concept in Gandhi's thought. He used to say that that's what love in action looks like. It looks like ahimsa. He used to describe ahimsa as the vehicle, the method by which one expresses love. And then the other concept that I'd like to share with you today is one that he popularized among many other people who also popularized it, is the term sarvodaya, which means, it can be loosely translated as the welfare of all. What does it mean to think about the welfare of all? I'd love to tell you a quick story. I don't think I'll have enough time, but long story short, there are many times in law when a party, particularly a corporation, will say, yes, we had to destroy this area of the environment, but we're doing the greatest good by selling our product worldwide. It doesn't mean much to the people who are affected or who are being poisoned by toxins that are being left in their water. So rather than pitting the interests against each other, the doctrine of Sarvodaya is asking us to look at, what does it mean to look at the welfare of all? What would it mean to take water from a stream, for example, without destroying the habitat in which many people and animals and plants live? And so these two concepts are things that have very much animated my own work as I think about mental health and wellness on multiple levels. If we look at the thought of Gandhi at the individual level, he certainly had individual practices. He would wake up every morning. He had a set of meditation practices that he would do, things that would help him to be able to, as Grace was explaining, ground himself and keep himself in a place of peace and relaxation and ease. But as many of the panelists have explained, there's these other levels. There's an interpersonal level. And in law, we can see something, I found something that Gandhi had said that I always found touching because I never learned this in law school. His quote is, "I had learnt the true practice of law. I had learnt to find out the better side of human nature and to enter people's hearts. I realized the true function of a lawyer was to unite parties riven asunder." He was doing a case where he was trying to help people who were feuding, who were family members. But rather than taking an adversarial position, which is the usual position you take, one side gets a lawyer, the other side takes a lawyer, he tried very hard to just create a circle, sitting in a circle, talking about the issues, because there were so many relationships at stake. It wasn't just about the one issue that these two family members were arguing about. And there's a healing quality about it. There's a nourishing quality about it. And I think right now we're seeing that in the movement for more restorative justice. And I think here at the university, we're already doing that in the way that we are rethinking how to approach academic misconduct. At the Dean of Students office, Ryan Nellums is already spearheading a project in the way that we rethink the way that we approach students when they may cheat on an exam, to better understand what might be going on in their lives, right? Maybe a punishment itself is not going to be a vehicle for self-improvement for them, right? To be able to understand whatever stresses or strains they may be going through can be a much more effective approach if we want to be a university of wellness. And so we can see that even at the interpersonal level, we're already doing this at the Dean of Students office. You can ask Amy about that if you want more detail. And then finally, we have, what Amy had talked about, that sense of deep community, and then beyond that, the sense of needing institutions that will support wellness. And this is perhaps the toughest one to talk about, because we have to talk about the need for livable wages. We have to talk about the need for affordable daycare. We cannot succumb to the temptation to think that our political economy, our politics, and our legal system are something separate from our very wellness and the very ways that our bodies react to the environment around us, because many of those institutions can help us reduce anxiety or depression, or they can help trigger them. And in Gandhi's life, certainly nonviolent non-cooperation was a way to address many of those political and economic questions by using the vehicle of love. But that's a whole other conversation. But there are institutional ways to create change that can be done both extra-legally in the case of nonviolent non-cooperation, as well as internally. Right now, there's a quiet revolution happening in the law called mindfulness in law. There's a judge in Arizona who regularly does meditation practice every day, and one person came to him and said, "Why are you so calm all the time?" And he said, "Well, I do mindfulness-based exercises every morning." And then he started to have coworkers come in and say, "Can you teach me how to do that?" And so there's this quiet thing happening there where that sense of stress in the air starts to come down. There's a police officer in Madison, Wisconsin, who is teaching her fellow police officers mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques in the hopes of being able to reduce the stress and reduce the tendency to want to react very quickly and perhaps with more force than what might be necessary in certain situations. There are many examples like this where these quiet revolutions are happening as well. And so I hope that ends us on a very positive note, because being able to sit with those challenges yet also know that we have agency and we have the ability to be able to make environments of flourishing wellness around us is a very promising way to end. And on that note, I'd like to end with a guided meditation from Diana Winston at UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center, MARC. If anybody would like the link, feel free to let Terry or I know. We'd be more than happy to send the link to you. And all we do is follow along with Diana.
So find a relaxed, comfortable position, seated on a chair or on the floor, on a cushion. Keep your back upright, but not too tight. Hands resting wherever they're comfortable. Tongue on the roof of your mouth or wherever it's comfortable. And you can notice your body from the inside, noticing the shape of your body, the weight, touch. And let yourself relax and become curious about your body seated here, the sensations of your body, the touch, the connection with the floor or the chair. Relax any areas of tightness or tension. Just breathe, soften. And now begin to tune into your breath in your body, feeling the natural flow of breath. Don't need to do anything to your breath. Not long, not short, just natural. And notice where you feel your breath in your body. It might be in your abdomen. It may be in your chest or throat or in your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations of breath, one breath at a time. When one breath ends, the next breath begins. Now, as you do this, you might notice that your mind may start to wander. You might start thinking about other things. If this happens, this is not a problem. It's very natural. Just notice that your mind has wandered. You can say thinking or wandering in your head softly. And then gently redirect your attention right back to the breathing. So we'll stay with this for some time in silence, just a short time. Noticing our breath, from time to time getting lost in thought and returning to our breath. See if you can be really kind to yourself in the process. And once again, you can notice your body, your whole body seated here. Let yourself relax even more deeply. And then offer yourself some appreciation for doing this practice today. Whatever that means to you. Finding a sense of ease and well-being for yourself in this day.